You had mentioned the conversations now going to the C-suite.
Correct.
I still find that there are a lot of top-level executives that still are not understanding that there is power in monitoring and taking a look at what people are saying in these digital spaces. Why do you think they've been slower to come around to wanting to take a look to see if there's potential?
Sure. I mean, there's a number of different issues as to why. If you look at from a business standpoint, just look at the economy. We were talking about that before we started this interview.
Yeah.
And for a business leader, a CEO, a president, a CMO, who is sitting there in a big corporation trying to manage a particular business initiative, when you consider how big digital is, or in some instances how small digital is relative to the actual size of the business, when they're making business decisions coming out of a recession or trying to manage growth through that recession, when you look at the big levers, maybe a focus on digital isn't the most important thing when you're actually trying to solve the problem for today.
Yeah.
And so while it's strategic and everyone understands the importance of it, it's not the firefight of the day, right?
Sure.
For lack of a better phrase. So their focus and attention is towards trying to make sure that they can prop up the business, to get through the recession, and then they'll worry about the strategic. The other problem is just one of demographics. Most senior level people predominantly haven't grown up on the web. You look at millennials, you look at Generation Y. I mean, my kids, we were talking about that earlier. My kids have never lived in anything other than a broadband world.
Yes.
So when we go up north for the weekend, like we will, and they hear a dial-up connection, they think something's wrong with the computer. They're just not used to that. And so within businesses, that type of understanding of how digital evolves and how it can play out is still an understood or something that needs to be understood at the C-suite level. The last part of it, though, is really from a technology standpoint, we've tended to overcomplicate these things. So you get technology around social media or making connections with consumers in a digital world, and it's usually built by people who have a domain expertise on the technology side. What's missing is the bridge that allows the conversation to extend from technology and one to business. And so if you think of one of our products, which is social media monitoring, the conversation isn't just about sentiment analysis and whether you've got a positive score, whether you've got a negative score from a web standpoint, but it's really taking those types of conversations and extrapolating it out into answers, thoughts, almost provoking statements that really get executives to think about what the implications are at the business level. And I think that's one of the big issues, is that in this whole world of social media, having evolved so quickly in such a short period of time, we haven't built the business fundamentals into the conversation to allow CEOs, CMOs, CFOs to actually have a conversation around what does this do for earnings per share, what does this do from a revenue standpoint or profit standpoint.
Excellent. Now